to our strategic planning stakeholders meeting. It's good to see everyone here. So my name is Richard Fedorik. I know a few people, Karen Madsen sitting there. I know the people in the back row. I used to sit in the back row. Good place. No one wants to sit in the front. So I want to talk to you in the next sort of 30, 20 minutes, give you time for questions about our strategic planning process, because it's really critical that we get the input here. Get input from you as support staff, you as faculty, you as academic staff. Is it ready to go?
It's ready to go, and your remote is right up there.
Oh, thank you. So, as you know, I started this job in February. We've trolled through a lot of deans recently. I told them I wouldn't take the job 3 times, but on the 4th time, with a lot of cajoling support from my wife, I said I would do it, and I did it because I thought the faculty had become irrelevant. Become irrelevant to me in my own job. I was doing stuff, I really liked it, and I didn't think we were the faculty that I remember when I joined 25 years ago, a faculty driving to excellence, looking for every opportunity to be innovative, be number one. I thought we were slipping. So I said to myself, maybe I could try and make a difference and bring us back to what I recalled this faculty was. And so part of that is the strategic planning process. Let me tell you a little bit about why we're doing this. This is a big company. It's $500 million worth of people and energy and activity. And the first couple of weeks that I was in the job, Valerie had booked appointments for me every hour, every half hour. That's great. Everybody came into the office and said, I have a great idea, give me some money. I need $10,000. I have another great idea, give me another $50,000. And great ideas. But a faculty, big company who's driving forward can only manage 5, 7 major things that they can control, manage, move forward, and advance on. Yes, there has to be other things going on and individual things going on, but as a big company, we need to know where we're going to invest, where we put the resources, where we put the people to move forward, and what those things are. And so the strat plan, strategic plan, is to help us determine the 5 to 7 things that are really important to us right now that we want to move on, that are going to make this faculty excellent. I can't do very much as a dean. You might think I can do anything. I can't do hardly anything. The only thing I can do is put into place policies and procedures that will deliver good outcomes in 3, 5, and 10 years. So it's about getting these right policies, these right procedures, the right things on track. Right? Whoever decided that we were going to build this building and drove to get government to fund this building, that was a good policy procedure to get something. Right? And that's what the strat plan's about, putting into place something that's going to deliver for us. And so it kind of looked like this. There's 5 things up here. So we had a brainstorming session in June. 100 of the faculty leadership got together at the Enjoy Center in St. Albert. We spent 2 days wrapped up in this room developing goals and objectives that we thought mattered. That's what I'm going to show you today. Number 2, the consultation. That's where we are right now. So all the stakeholders, so everybody in the faculty, from the support staff, the admin staff, the academic staff, everybody has a chance for input here, because your input is critical. Action number 3, in November, the 12th, we're going to have another meeting where we take all of your input, we crunch it down into 7 things, 5 to 7 things that we're going to move forward with. And hopefully they are big things that brings this faculty into excellence and drives forward big progress 3, 5 years down the road. All of us have written reports, done plans. You do all this work, it sits on a shelf, and when you're cleaning out your office, you say, oh, that was a good thing. How come we didn't do that? I don't want the strat plan to be like that. So we're going to quarterly review what we're doing. It's going to have a project manager. It's going to have people that will be responsible for making sure that what you say today and what you tell us to do, we're actually doing. And if we're not doing it, why aren't we doing it? And why are we off track? And why are we behind schedule? So it's a living document. This was our brainstorming session. You see some of the people you might know. This is what I'm going to ask you to do. So we are going to have this November 12th meeting. Your input from today will go into that November 12th meeting. There's going to be an oversight committee, I told you that, who will look at this, make sure we're on track. And I'll report back to you at these quarterly events to tell you we're on track or we're not. Be like a Gantt chart. I like Gantt charts. But this is what I want from you today. Look at what I'm going to present to you in the next few minutes. What works in what I'm presenting to you? What's missing? Did we miss something? You all work in certain areas. Think of your area. Think of the broader faculty. What did we miss? What do you really want us to do that's going to make your area just zoom forward? And then how can we make it better? If we've written down stuff, did we get it right? How can we make it better? Eventually, I'm going to ask you to prioritize these items. Because I said at any one time, we can only do about 5 to 7 of these big projects and move them forward. It doesn't mean that all the other projects we come up with will not happen. So imagine them like a stove simmering onto the side, and as soon as opportunity, money, funding, interest comes up, we can move them to the main burner. We'll have all that ready to go. But we do need to prioritize what we're going to do. So, strat plan looks like this. There were 7 areas that we thought, and they actually grew out of a strategic plan that you had about 10 years ago. Education, partnerships, innovation, research, funding, governance, and people. Core areas to what a university faculty of medicine and dentistry should be. And so we had teams of people in each of these focus areas. And the teams were responsible for developing goals and objectives. And let me just take you through goals and objectives. Goals are the big thing that you want to be. I want to be the very best department of cardiology. Big goal. I'm looking at cardiology at the back row. An objective to that big goal would be, what would it look like when it's done? So as the very best department of cardiology, we have the best teachers, we're doing research and publishing 5,000 things a year, blah, blah, blah. That's what it looks like when they're done. Now we're going to focus on the objectives. What will it look like when this is done? When we're successful with something? The strategies, which we won't talk about today, but the strategies are the details to get there. So how do you get that cardiology group to publishing all those things? Well, maybe you need to hire some more assistant professors. You need to hire some more researchers. You need to put money into it. There's things that need to be done to get to that. It's easy. And we'll develop the strategies as soon as you help us on what are the objectives. Is that clear? I want to I forgot to introduce Melissa. Melissa, do you want to raise your hand? So Melissa is one of the project managers, and where's Lisa? Lisa's also at the back. So we got 2 people helping us now move this process forward, as well as Bill McBlain. Bill is retired faculty member, but he was the VP of Research for Alberta Health. He's also been Associate VP Research for the university, so he knows both organizations, and he's going to help us drive this project forward. So there's people behind all of this. So let me go through these one by one and just sort of give you a flavor of what's in there. And then you're going to have a website to go to put your information in and your input in. So this is a big goal for education. Become the national leading faculty, flexible, innovative, socially accountable, blah, blah, blah. Right? Big goal. The education group prioritized dozens and dozens of things, objectives. But these are the top 3 they came up with. I'm going to ask for your input into these. Do they have them right? What's wrong with them? What could be missing? So the objectives for education were move to a faculty that can deliver competency-based education in all our domains, from undergraduate up to the most advanced fellowships we have. Competency-based education, my example is, we all graduated grade 12 on June 30th. We got a little certificate, whether we were ready or not. I think that's me. Maybe. Buzzing away. Competency-based education is, you may not be able to graduate from medical school until you're ready. You may be ready in April. You may be ready in August. And we have to work to figure out how to do that. Same with our residencies and our fellowships. We want to lead in that. That's where we're going. Social accountability is into all of our educational curriculum. We don't do that very well right now. And lifelong learning, we've been told over and over again by our alumni, by our people, by our practitioners in the community. In Northern Alberta, they want the Faculty of Medicine to lead in helping them learn ongoing. An objective, how do we get there? Partnerships. Develop and strengthen mutually beneficial, valued partnerships across all domains. Here were the objectives for them that the partnership group felt was important and we wanted you to look at and have your input into. So sustainable relationships with our health delivery partners, that's AHS. We don't have a great relationship with AHS. We bump up against each other fairly frequently. They're going in this direction, we're going in that direction. We need to be better aligned. You can imagine 2 big parents I work for, right? The University of Alberta and AHS. And one says sit down, the other says stand up. We need to be better aligned. My kids use that, right? They said, no, Mom said this, I said that. Didn't work. An effective and comprehensive academic health services network. So we work with other health faculties. We're not really very well interconnected. Framework for strategic and priority partnerships. How do we interact with our hospital foundations? And again, include a social accountability mandate in this partnership arrangement. Innovation, this for me is one of the important things. Who else should be innovating but a university? And who else should be innovating but the Faculty of Medicine for health? So we're probably going to put some energy into this. And the innovation group came up with these 4 objectives that I want you to have input into. Health and wellness and consumer partnerships with international and global research institutions. We've recently spent a lot of energy working with China. China, if it doesn't stumble politically, is going to be a world powerhouse. We've visited some of their top medical schools. I'll tell you, they'll give our students a run for the money. They speak English, they're well educated, they know everything about medicine that we know. There's lots of opportunities for us to collaborate with China in many different spheres, from faculty all the way down to undergraduate. The most interesting thing is their volumes. We went to a dental school, got 500 dental chairs with 4 turns a day. That means they see 2,000 dental patients every day. What a learning opportunity, right? 2,000 cavities you could fill. But just lots of volume for our students to see, and there's lots of collaborations that we can develop there. Partnerships with a deep pocket disruptor. It would be so cool for us to be able to hook up with Google and other, Facebook and other innovators like that and develop something for our students that is real time. When our students are seeing people, seeing patients, they want real-time information. You see somebody in And Betty Smith says to me, oh, you know, I've got this problem, and I say, I don't even know what that problem is. I want to be able to pull it up on my app and find out what that problem is in, you know, in 20 seconds. I don't want to have to run down to the Scott Library and try and find a book or try and get onto the Google and website and figure it out, right? We need different ways of keeping us up to date. Better partnership with Alberta Health Services, that's another thing that's come into others. And a product incubator. We lose so much intellectual property. We're innovating every day. Karen Madsen innovates every day with her fecal transplant stuff. And we don't patent it, we don't think about it, we just publish it and use it as science, and that's great. But how could we innovate that products? And many of you, I bet you in this room, could have had a patent on what you've done, but we don't. Obviously, research is important, and these were some of the objectives in research. Faculty-wide way to manage our infrastructure and core resources. I give the confocal microscope example. I think we have 6, one still in its crate, one is broken. The others we don't use very much because we really don't know how. Why would we do that? Why don't we put them all into one room, hire somebody who actually knows how to run them so we don't break them? That's an example. PAN faculty research facilitation service, this is so critical. It's no longer acceptable for me to be writing individual CIHR grants and putting them in. I want us to be able to troll every day the website that comes up and find these grand challenges, find these big grants, bring together with a project manager and a grant writer around the table the 10 people who could help me write that grant and get that LOI in that's due within 2 weeks. We miss all of those deadlines, and we never do that. And we drive to get one person to do all the writing on the side of their desk and then wonder why we're not successful. Salary retention. We lost heritage. How are we going to maintain these excellent people? How are we going to renew ourselves? And maybe number 4 is interesting, competitive research funds. So we're continually being asked, match. So I get people coming into my room, office, the bunker, Brain Canada, Genome Canada. I've just written this grant for Brain Canada. It's for $500 million. I need you to match it. Today's Wednesday. You have to match it by Friday. $500,000? How am I going to do that? By Friday. We need a fund where we could look at it and say, yeah, that's a great grant. Let's try and get your 500 and I'll match it with 500. Quebec and Ontario do that really well. We don't do that very well. Funding. Partnerships, AHS, AH, Innovation, Advanced Education, those are funders. They need to know what we're doing. They need to know how successful we are. They need to know that we are at the cutting edge. It's politics. Flexible, transparent funding and a center-based model. Our whole funding model is quite complex. I don't know, Vivian's not here, but everybody in that room of the 100 people said we need a better understanding of where the money goes, and I agree. Formal agreement with the foundations. The Faculty of Medicine last year received about $30 million from the various hospital foundations and other foundations around. Lots of money. Goes into lots of different things. But sometimes they're mismatched. So the hospital foundation says, oh, we're raising money for, where's your expert in hair color? Someone's just given us $1 million for the hair color expert. I look at them and say, we don't do hair color. So what are we going to do? How are we going to manage this money that we've got for hair coloring? Right? Mismatch. And we leave money on the table that way because the donor says, well, if you don't do hair coloring, I'm going to take my money back. And I would have said, well, we do baldness. We could, is that okay? If we had had those talks with the foundations and donors, and we could have found a way to utilize those dollars. Governance, this is really important. We've already started to work on this. We just decided that it needed work. Clearly define everybody's role. This is dry as dirt, but critical. Who makes decisions? Who do they report to? So I told this story before. I forget who I've told the stories to. So I was sitting on, when I decided to take the job, I didn't know what the job was. So I'm sitting on the couch late one Friday night. We're watching a movie. It was a girl movie, and so I wasn't watching. I was playing on the computer. Of course, my wife wasn't happy with that. But I was trying to find out, what does a dean do? So I'm looking on our Faculty of Medicine websites. We have really very little about what roles and responsibilities for our deans, vice deans, chairs, associate deans, how they link to government, how they link to AHS, how they link into University Central. We'd all be, so we're working on that. We're going to have that laid out so that when you want to know who's responsible, it'll be clear. And then the people. People is the key. It's the biggest asset we have. Attract, recruit, retain. Attract, recruit, retain. Big asset. People. And so the people group came up with these objectives. A professional development review program, so that we're able to review people, we're able to help them grow. I don't want people leaving the faculty. That's the worst thing. Spend all these resources to get someone to do a job and then they leave. I want them to continue to grow, and we help them do that. 2,000 clinical faculty out there, part-time, we call them part-time clinical faculty. We hardly pay them at all. They don't feel valued. How can we increase their value, their engagement? Number 3, retain key faculty. Don't lose people. And how do we manage that? And I think you can substitute the word faculty for all of our personnel. So whether you're an admin staff, a support staff, faculty, academic, we want to retain you. We liked you when we got you. We want to keep you. And how do we do that? How do we make people want to stay in an organization? And diversity. My first meeting with Dr. Turpin, he asked me how many women we have in the dean's office. How many women do we have in the faculty? How many Indigenous people do we have in the dean's office, in the faculty, right? We accreditation for this Faculty of Medicine, obviously we passed. You all know that. We were successful in all domains, got full accreditation to 2017. Longer maybe, forgot the date. But the thing that we were probationary on that we have to answer by December is, what are we doing about diversity? Because we had no plans, or not sufficient plans, for what a diverse faculty might look like. Something to work on there. So these are our focus areas. I've gone through them. Bill McBlain is helping with this, and he's agreed to stay on next year as we move through this process. Recalculate and adjust. So we will take all of your information by November 12th. We'll bring it back to that 100 people in that leadership group who'll meet for half a day. They'll sign off on it. We'll have an oversight committee that meets monthly to make sure all these things are moving forward, and then we'll report back to you on a quarterly basis. I need from you today what works out of those things I've shown you for the objectives. What's missing? How can we make it better? And then prioritize it for me. And Melissa and her team and Lisa and Bill have made it easy. So if you go to our homepage, you should be able to find the strategic plan link. And there's a Survey Monkey there. And I need you to take, it takes about 20 minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Go through it. You have permission to do it in the middle of your work. Type in as much as you want about what those objectives are that I've showed you, what's wrong with them, how you want them changed. If we've missed something, put it in there for us. So that's what I need from you today. And my promise to you is that once we get that strategic plan, I mean, my only role that I can really do is make sure that we have the process and procedures in place that will deliver the outcomes that you want. So that's my spiel. I've been talking for most of the time, so I'm happy to answer any questions.